Let's be real for a second. We all know we're supposed to exercise, right? But seriously, who has an extra hour just floating around in their day? If that sounds familiar, if you feel like your schedule is just completely packed, then you're gonna want to hear this. Okay, that sounds a little dramatic, doesn't it? 1 minute could save your life. But what if I told you it's not really an exaggeration? What if the latest science is telling us that a few tiny 1 minute bursts of effort sprinkled through your day could actually change everything for your health? Yeah, this is a feeling we all know. You know exercise is good for you. You hear it all the time. But finding a whole 30 minutes, let alone an hour, to go to the gym, it feels impossible, right? Between work, family, errands, the list goes on. It's just this constant, frustrating struggle. And a huge part of the problem is this mindset we have. It's like this all or nothing thing. We think if we can't do a proper workout, a long, super sweaty session at the gym, then, well, what's the point? And so, what happens? We end up doing nothing. And that right there is where we've been getting it all wrong. Okay, so let's get to the good stuff. The solution. It's called the exercise snack. And no, I'm not talking about an energy bar. This is a whole new way of thinking. It's not about magically finding more time in your day. It's about using those little gaps you already have in a much smarter, much more powerful way. Honestly, for anyone who feels like they have absolutely zero time, this is a total game changer. So what is an exercise snack, really? Well, it's pretty simple. It's a super short burst of exercise. We're talking just 1 to 3 minutes. But here's the key. It has to be intense, vigorous. The goal is to get your heart rate way up. A good rule of thumb is you should be breathing hard enough that you can't really sing or hold a long conversation. That's how you know you're in that sweet spot, getting your heart rate up to about 80% of its max. And the best part? It's so easy to do. You don't need a gym, you don't need any fancy equipment. We're talking about really basic stuff like banging out a minute of jumping jacks between Zoom calls. Or instead of just walking up the stairs, you sprint up them. Or see how many squats you can do in the 60 seconds it takes for your coffee to brew. It's that simple. All right, I can hear you thinking it. Seriously? 1 minute? Can that actually do anything? And I get it, it sounds almost too good to be true. But here's the thing, this isn't just some cute fitness trend. It's backed by some really powerful, really impressive science. So scientists dug into the data from 3 massive studies. They were looking at something they call VILPA. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it stands for Vigorous Intermittent Lifestyle Activity, which is basically just a fancy way of saying exercise snacks, the stuff we do in our everyday lives. They got thousands of people to wear activity trackers 24/7 to see what was really going on, and what they found was absolutely mind-blowing. Get this, just 3 little 1 to 2 minute sessions of this stuff a day was linked to a 40% lower risk of dying from anything. Let that sink in for a second. A 40% drop. We're talking about maybe 5 minutes total out of your entire day. And it gets even better when you look at heart health. For our hearts, the benefit was even bigger. That same tiny amount of activity, we're talking a few minutes a day, was linked to an almost 50% drop in the risk of dying from heart disease. 50%, that's just incredible. And they weren't done. The benefits kept coming. Those same few minutes also showed a 40% lower risk of dying from cancer. So the message here from all this data is crystal clear. These tiny little bursts of effort, they matter. They matter a whole lot. But honestly, here's what might be the most powerful part of this whole thing. The people in these studies, they weren't super fit gym rats. No, these incredible results were seen in people who called themselves non-exercisers. These are people who weren't working out in the traditional sense. They were just living their lives, but with little bursts of intensity mixed in. It proves, once and for all, you do not need a gym membership to completely change your health. Okay, so hopefully you're on board with why this is so amazing. Now, let's get to the really good part. How to actually do it. And I promise it's super simple. There are basically 2 easy ways you can start. All right, so there are 2 ways to think about this. On one hand, you've got structured snacks. This is when you intentionally stop what you're doing and say, okay, I'm going to do 1 minute of squats right now at my desk. Then, on the other hand, you have a lifestyle snacks. That's that VILPA thing we were talking about. This is where you just turn your normal daily stuff into a mini workout. So you choose to sprint up the stairs, not just walk. Or you carry your groceries in from the car with a little more speed and power. Both ways work, and they're both incredibly effective. And check this out. Spreading your activity out like this has some really unique perks. There was another study that found doing little snacks of squats, just 30 squats every 45 minutes or so, was actually better for controlling blood sugar than doing one continuous 30-minute walk. How crazy is that? These little bursts just do something special for our metabolism. Okay, we've talked a lot, but you know what? The real magic of this whole idea isn't in knowing it, it's in doing it. So right now, I'm gonna give you a little challenge. I want you to put this into action. Not tomorrow, not next weekend, today, right now. It really is this easy. Seriously, grab your phone, look at your calendar for the rest of the day. All I want you to do is find 3 little 1-minute spots. That's it. Maybe it's right before your next meeting, or while you're waiting for a file to download, or just before you eat lunch. Pick something simple, squats, jumping jacks, running in place, and just do it. Go all out for that 1 minute. Feel the burn, get your heart pumping, and I guarantee you're gonna feel fantastic. So that's it. The only question left is for you. What's it gonna be? What will your first exercise snack be? Think about it right now, because deciding makes it real. It's such a small choice, but it's one that could make an absolutely massive difference, adding not just more years to your life, but a whole lot more life to your years.